Welcome back to our special, The Worst Presidents in American History. And who have we talked about so far? We talked about James Buchanan. Got James Buchanan. I threw in there maybe a little wild card, maybe this is a little too spicy for now. I don't know. George W. Bush, maybe should be talked about in the running. We talked about Woodrow Wilson, FDR, LBJ, and Barack Obama. Those four right there, they're all the same. They just all jumped off the most previous president's progressivism. I want to make the case here, though, that we should talk about Joe Biden as one of the worst presidents of all time. Too soon to say for sure, right? Biden may get a bit of a bailout from Trump, right? All of the mistakes that Biden made and all the bad things he did for this country, all the people his policies hurt in this country, he may get a bailout for Trump. So history may not paint him as bad as maybe history should. So where Biden may let in 20 million illegal aliens and all these terrible things would continue to happen for that, but 20 million illegal aliens were deported under President Trump. So its full negative effect wasn't able to be fully implemented. Does it make sense? Because of Trump. So maybe Biden lucks out a little bit here. Or maybe Biden, makes our military so woke and unprepared to fight wars. But then Trump comes right in and brings our military back. So Biden's not going to be blamed for the problems that he caused as much as maybe if he had another 4 years. So maybe the best for Biden, the best case scenario for Biden is he'll just be forgotten. We did a little bit with the presidential rankings earlier, the best and the worst presidents, and maybe he'll just be like somewhere in the middle. Maybe that's where Biden, he'll just be like forgotten, like a Martin Van Buren or a Millard Fillmore or a Chester Arthur and a Joe Biden. And I'll just be like, oh yeah, I kind of heard of him. That's the best Biden can hope for, right? It'll be like Trump, Biden, Trump. Like who was in between Grover Cleveland? I don't know. Who's going to be in between the Trump years? People even forget. Biden can only hope. All right, so let's keep in mind a couple of things. I got 5 reasons why I think Joe Biden should be in the running as one of our worst presidents ever. Foreign policy. And there's 3 big ones. Afghanistan withdrawal, totally botched it. Russia, Ukraine, and Hamas and Israel. Bad, all of them bad. This particular picture of the plane taken off in Afghanistan, that is one of the defining images of his presidency. And that all came from his weakness. I heard Trump the other day say, he just talked about how awful it was that he said there was like some battle in Ukraine where 10,000 people were killed. And no one even talks about it, no one cares. And here's Trump out here talking about how awful it is. And he cares because it was a loss of life. I've never seen a president be so anti-war to his core as President Trump. And he's always been that way for decades. He hates people dying, even if they're Ukrainians, right? Meanwhile, you got the neocons in the Democratic Party who are totally fine with sending as many Ukrainians to their death as need be. We don't care. And Trump just wants it all over. He wants peace, and he wants peace through strength. But the left's weaknesses and Joe Biden's weakness just begets more death. So Biden's wars. Biden's were totally, like all of them, totally unnecessary. The withdrawal, Ukraine, and Hamas and Israel. None of those needed to happen and wouldn't have happened if Biden weren't the one in charge. The second biggest thing is inflation, right? Now listen, Trump has a little bit of a role in this. There's COVID, the PPP, and all this stuff. But that stuff would not have caused inflation to go out of control like it did. Because then Biden comes back in and spends another, $6 trillion of all this stuff and made our lives way worse. And none of this was necessary. This is a bad decision, bad policy, bad bills. I've asked every single guest today what the worldview is of these presidents that they say are the worst. And Biden is just another example. Someone got in his ear, or he thought he would be the man of legacy if he just continued on with the policies of Woodrow Wilson, FDR, LBJ, Barack Obama. He needed his big, grand public project, right? His big New Deal. And the left loves FDR so much, they love the name New Deal, that every progressive president is coming up with their own new version of the New Deal. We call it the Green New Deal or whatever. And all these bailouts and transportation projects, it was just Biden's version of the New Deal. So inflation is crushing Americans, worse than many of us have ever lived through. It didn't need to be that way. Didn't need to be that way at all. Third reason why Joe Biden should be considered as one of the worst presidents ever. I don't know, maybe letting in tens of millions of illegal aliens? Intentionally? Actively going out of his way to take away border protections on day one of his administration, proudly doing that on day one, proudly stopping the wall, proudly ending Remain in Mexico, going out of his way, and then lying to us. Mayorkas and all of his cronies lying to us saying the border is secure. People murdered, children raped, entire towns taken over, telling us the border is secure. Amazing. Can Trump bail Biden out for the harm that Biden caused the American people these last 4 years just on immigration alone? Didn't need to happen. Fourth reason, but you know what they were trying to do, of course, right? Trying to win every election in the future. That's the goal of that. Mission not accomplished. Fourth reason why Joe Biden is one of the worst presidents ever is embracing the wokeness of the radical left, embracing it and trying to mainstream it. The other day one thing he did was allow boys and girls sports. That was a day one executive order that Joe Biden did, right? There's a survey that was done. This is by a Democratic group, and they did an analysis on swing voters who voted for Trump, right? Swing voters who went for Trump. And they're like, oh, can you believe it? That 83% of these swing voters who voted for Trump think that Biden or Kamala wanted to use taxpayer dollars to pay for the transition charges for illegal aliens in prison. Can you believe 83% of people support that? It's like, yeah, I want to talk to the 17 who don't think that that's what happened, because that's exactly what Kamala Harris supported, and she's bragged about it before. They're like, can you believe that 77% of these people believed that Kamala Harris wanted, and Joe Biden wanted to transition people under 18 without parental consent? It's like, yeah, they did that. Can you believe that Joe Biden and Kamala, 76% of people thought that they want abortion up to birth? Yeah, because they did. All this super crazy, insane woke stuff. All these, Biden wanted to do this stuff and did it. And Kamala wanted to do it and did it. And that's why people voted for Trump, to rebuke against all that. We're not the ones who put drag queens in our kids' elementary school. That was you guys. You're the people who arrested grandmothers who were blocking access to the abortion clinic, even though local police didn't prosecute at all, but the feds did. Biden did that. My last point, Biden will go down as the president who led all this lawfare. And it's by the grace of God that it all failed. No matter how many lawsuits they tried, they couldn't bankrupt him, and they couldn't keep him down. And Biden should be held accountable for that. And of course, never forget how he and his wife and the media lied to us about his health. So I don't know. It's hard to say worst president ever. We'll give a little more time to see how his presidency ages. Will it age like a fine wine, or will it age like that gallon of milk I left in the back of the car the other day? But it's sure hard to think of any reason why he would be ranked in the top half. That's for sure. But the best thing about Biden's failure is that it led to Trump. And for that reason, I'll always be eternally grateful to old Joe. The First TV, Mike Slater. Spread the word.